All right, let's do it. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Draglist Live, where we bench race with the world's top drag racers. My name's Bill Pratt. It's great to be with you tonight. Tonight, we have a really unique guest with us. We're hanging out with Radio Bob, Robert West, the voice behind one of the internet's coolest independent radio stations. He's got new shows, fresh stories, a brand new smartphone app that we're going to talk about, and taking it all to the next level. So, looking forward to talking with Bob tonight. Before we bring Bob in, let's go to John. John, how are you doing, sir?
Doing great here, BP, and howdy from Houston, everybody. Please join us on the live chat. I'll take notes and I'll pass your questions and comments along to BP and Radio Bob.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. And folks, click the like, the little thumbs up down there. Click the share button. Let your friends know we have Radio Bob live. And to prove it, let's bring him in. Bob West, welcome to the show.
Hi there, Bill and John. Thank you very much for letting me come to your show tonight. We run this show on Thursday nights, a little later in the week, to give people a chance to go to your YouTube channel and catch a live stream. But for those that miss it, and for others around the world, I'm sure they pick it up. We'd like to thank Kate Thurkelson for introducing us originally and allowing your show to come to our channel. For those of you who are not aware or haven't heard of us before, our station is called Radio Bob USA. It is part of Radio Bob Healing Media. Why is that? Because we are a nonprofit internet radio station. We are free to all to access us. And then we provide support for people in need with services on our website that includes life balance information and assistance to nonprofits worldwide. Some of our other endeavors have to do with providing drinking water into rural spaces using filtration equipment that we're currently working with. And we have some environmental concerns. And so what we're doing is we've got this kind of live radio station where we have shows like yours and others that we run during the week, but our bread and butter is pretty much classic rock, blues, and jazz. And we have no commercials and no politics. Part of the fun of our station is that we engage the communities, which is why I'm on your show tonight. And that is that we cover something we call fuel injected Zen, which is the mental and Zen aspect of racing, and intertwine that with the technological stuff that everybody seems to be reporting on. So we find it a different attitude and a different access to engage the racing community and bring them into our tent. And this allows us to be in the public and meet up to 100,000 people a year in the Western United States at events much like the Sonoma Drag Racing or Sprint Car Racing in Placerville, Chico, or the Stockton Modifieds that we did for Mark Pasquale at the Stockton 99 Speedway. So that's the basics. We're 24/7, we're worldwide, and we just launched our first Android app. That does cost you money. We ask for a $5 donation to support the station. It's a non-taxable gift to us to pay the bills so that we can stream the music that we stream and pay the royalties where due to the performers that give us those music. All of our other material is given free, and we really appreciate those donations to keep us alive. Otherwise, we couldn't afford this effort.
That's
And
really
that's the
great.
beginnings.
Fantastic, Bob. Thanks for joining us. Lots of good stuff there, lots to unpack. You
Oh
mentioned
yeah.
a couple things you mentioned. So an Android app, do you intend to go for us knuckleheads that have iOS one of these days, or starting with
Yes.
Android?
Yes, absolutely. So we were looked at producing the first two apps, which at the time were incredibly expensive to produce. And so we engaged our community worldwide on Facebook and other places, and actually made arrangements with a gentleman to provide us with the first of our apps. We call it, it's for Android, it's called Onyx. It's a black app platform. It's readily available on Google Play. And I had thought I'd lost track of that guy. And then lo and behold, like a month and a half later, I got this email with a link to a Dropbox, and he had given me all the application materials. So it took about a week and a half to get that onto Google Play and get it registered and make sure that they
Yep.
knew we were legit, which is very important to us. And so about 10 minutes after I got up on Google Play and announced it, the Apple people that I know reminded me that I had forgotten them. And I said, no, I hadn't forgotten them. It's just that you guys are like 5 times more expensive to develop an
Yeah.
app for, and the step process for Apple is a little bit more stringent. And so we received our Apple information from a guy named Michael Duffy, and I really appreciate that. He's a tech guy, YouTube guy, and he put that together, and we just got that on Sunday. And so we have to work on our Apple account. The holidays are coming up, so it's going to be December,
Ish.
mid-December probably, and your Apple guys will have your application as well, and you'll be able to listen to us while you work on your car out in the garage.
Sounds great. Well, that's
Perfect.
part of our deal. That's where a lot of people, because we do record this right after the show, so some people show up at 8 o'clock Eastern on a Monday night, but many can't, right? And so
Right.
you do a lot of folks are twisting wrenches in the garage and listening to the replay. So, and so you can catch us on Thursday nights on Radio Bob as well. So,
Yep.
one of the other things you mentioned I really dug was fuel injected Zen. I love the name, and it put me in the mind of a guy that I wonder if you've read any of his books, and if you haven't, you've got to check him out. A guy named Cole Kuntz. He is just unbelievably, I mean, though that phrase right there, he could have said it. And he's written books on drag racing, he's written books on land speed record racing. Just one of the most just free thinkers out there. He's been on the internet since we were all on CompuServe right together several years ago. But highly recommended. You would absolutely dig his work. If just based on those three words alone, I mean, you put me in the mind in the mind of Cole Kuntz, and I got to go dig out some of those books too. Very cool stuff.
Well, we chose fuel injected Zen for a couple of reasons. One of the things that we did from the beginning was embrace a couple of communities and take a look at some options. We decided that music would be our river of knowledge and hope to the people, not a visual world running 24/7 like a TV station or
Hmm.
a podcast. And what we decided was we wanted to give a place for people to come back to, and they could feel secure in and not get bombarded by commercial advertising and told what to do and all this other stuff, right? And we wanted it to be wide open so you couldn't be sure what was coming next. And we wanted to engage the adventure community, the backcountry community, the surfing community, because they're very much into nature. And we had looked at engaging what we call the spiritual community, the psychics and the tarot readers and all those kind of people.
Hmm.
Well, that's a really interesting group of people, but we found that it wasn't quite our people. And I had been familiar with racing. I had met a few people and gone to a few races and received a couple of hot passes. So I'd been on tracks a couple of times, even been in a sprint car racing against Bud Kading and a couple other sprint car guys on private track one day. But that's the limit of my
Hmm.
racing understanding. But one thing I did learn from racers was they don't like walls.
Hmm.
And what do I mean by that? Well, a wall is something you run up against and you can't get around.
Hmm.
Racers do not believe in that. Racers believe that there's a way to cut every corner or get an extra horsepower or lighten up the car by 4 pounds or change something. And they're very much into STEM. But what they're into is glancing off of things and proceeding.
Right.
And they don't care if it's another car. And that's how they look at life. And the
Yeah.
surfers do the same thing.
I love it. Well,
So
there's
that's
a
where we put the two of them together and we became this idea of fuel injected Zen. And then we started challenging the drivers to tell us about it. And lo and behold, we met guys that they'd rather be in their car for that 12 seconds on a drag or 4 seconds on a drag strip, 12 seconds on a land racing run, an hour on the track, 2 hours if it's some big race, like a Road America CCA type deal, or the sprint car guys. It's like an 8-minute race. It's a 9-minute
hmm
race, but they do it 4 times that night.
hmm
Uh, it's incredible, and they're all happy.
Yeah.
They're happy. We're not. They are. Why are they happy? They're
Racer's
covered in
gonna
grease.
race.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So,
And and it goes way back, right? You're a California guy there. Take it going back to the 60s, 50s, really. You got the surfers, you got the drag
yep,
racers, the hot rodders, and the music like ties it all together, right? It's you're
right.
a perfect guest for the show because of course John doing our racing and rocking and our artwork and our candy apple colors and I do a little bit of the tech stuff, I reckon, but man, perfect syncing up here. Well, tell us a tiny bit about your background because I know you actually had come from a very musical family. Walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So my father was a master's of communication, University of Pacific at the time when you wanted to be that. He came off of the schooling in the early 60s and started a radio station called KBOX in Modesto. Didn't fare very well, so he went to work for Dun& and Bradstreet. His first client was ABC Studios, they hired him that afternoon to
Hmm.
be a producer and production manager. So he was forced to quit Dun& Bradstreet literally the second day he was working there.
Wow.
And he went to work as a stage manager for the Tennessee Ernie Ford show. From that point on, it is history. They were talking about doing these concerts with Mamas and the Papas down in Monterey, the jazz festivals and Monterey
Wow.
pop festivals. And Dad was one of the ones that they approached to start putting this kind of stuff together. So he brought a lot of interesting work to the San Francisco area while he was working with ABC and then opened up Marine World. Well, we were in a kid, we always had the best stereo. I remember my first concert was Country Joe and the Fish at age 6. I went to school on Jerry Garcia's ranch. I was on television on Channel 2 frequently, or, one of the local stations is the baby available child, the kid on the bike kind of thing. And so I got hooked. And by the time I was, 18, if I could do nothing else, I could easily work in a theater. So that's what I did. I went to college and I started working around the school and stuff like that. And I got hired to work in the theater, and I was still working there 8 years later without a degree, but they were paying me. And then the next inevitable conclusion was to go on tour and go do rock and roll. And so I did that for a number of years till I was about 25, 26. And I looked around, and I went, there aren't a lot of old people doing this. And I started to take a look at some of the things that were going on, the alcohol and whatever else. And I said, if I keep doing this, I either got to do some management or I got to change. And so I actually went away and went into the security industry, worked for 11 years as a security guy. And then I started a 15-year marine construction and tugboat job. Went back to work doing security because I needed a check kind of thing. And then got hired by the city of Roseville, California, as a construction guy, maintenance guy, and got bored. And so I bought a camera and I started taking pictures again, doing digital video, which is how my YouTube channel got started.
Hmm.
And it led me to this. And so I even decided to catalog this adventure online on my YouTube channel and tell people how I did it, how I graduated from that camera to running an online radio station. It's an incredible task. And we do all our marketing, we do all of our research, we do all of the programming, we do all of the fundraising, we do all of the social work. I contact 20 to 50 people every week. They
Wow.
send me stuff. It's an incredible ride. But in the last year, I've met people like, Kay, Nitro Alley, you. I've got friends in Australia, New Zealand that are giving me material. I think we're on track to get 7,500 listeners this month alone to our station. We're on track for 100,000 this year. We
Nice.
met over 100,000 people in person, and we've been giving services to people in need and making donations. But we're doing something, and
That's
the
fantastic.
drag racing is part of it.
Hmm.
You're definitely part of it, and these people are part of it. I love it. I love it, and it's noise. It's
Oh,
noisy and fun.
we got that in spades. Well,
Yep.
speaking of noise, let's see if our guys and gals on the chat line have any noise for us tonight. John, who's out there?
We're here coast to coast, and everybody's saying good evening and a happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy
Thank
Thanksgiving.
you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I have a question, Bob.
Sure.
Number one, what is that hot rod behind you in your background there?
Well, I'll slide over just for the moment because that's actually a really interesting side story.
Hmm.
So that picture was taken by me from that location.
Oh, okay.
All of our video is done under media principles. So we have a media pass and we follow all the rules and regulations of any event that we go to make sure that we are safe.
Hmm.
So we don't borrow people's stuff or use other people's stuff. We generate absolutely everything and we'll mark whatever we don't.
It's
So
awesome.
we went to the NHRA event in Sonoma, California this year in July, thanks to John Badilla, Tanner Watkins, Ali Brand, Nitro Alley, and your support making this all kind of possible. And so we put up our booth and we were there, but we weren't given a media pass immediately. And so Friday night, we were just kind of learning the whole event. Now this, this is the first time I've ever been to a drag strip. Right?
Woohoo.
So not only am I at the drag strip, but I am like presenting and doing all this other stuff. I got my camera, but I've never been to a race, so I don't know how this works, right? And so I get there and I'm kind of wandering around and feeling my way. We get our booth set up, we're shaking hands, kissing babies. Well, the next morning, thanks to a couple of things that happened, I ended up with a media pass. And so I told the wife, hey, watch the booth. I'm going to go down and get a couple of quick launches. And so I went down and was able to get some of the video that you see on my YouTube channel, including this car making its launch Saturday morning. And if you were watching that, you would note that 3 seconds or so later, that car was in the fence. And they were wondering if that driver was going out in the ambulance. And I had no idea who owns these cars. I mean, I knew who Tony Stewart was, and I knew who John Force was because I'd worked for Sacramento Theatrical Lighting, and John used to be supported by him, but I didn't know these people. And so about 2 hours after that event of taking this picture and filming that car going down the track, there was a gentleman walking by me about, I don't know, maybe a little less than 70 years of age, moving pretty slow. And I honestly thought he was going to have a heart attack because he looked so pale. And I couldn't figure out. And he was wearing this t-shirt that looked an awful lot like that car, right? And so I walked over to him because I was walking back to our booth. And I said, excuse me, sir, are you okay? You look rather pale. And he goes, well, it's been a little tough for me today. I go, I'm really sorry to hear that. Would you like to sit down? And he goes, yeah, that'd be nice. So I walk him over to the booth and, he's standing there for a minute. And I said, so what are you doing here today? And he goes, well, I own this car and it just wiped out. And so it was the owner, it's Mr. Lascuri himself of the car. And he was walking back and he was just bummed by the whole thing. And so now I'm standing there, I'm going, oh, he's not hurt. His driver just wiped out like, I don't know, a couple $100,000 worth of car.
At a minimum.
Well, luckily he's alive, but he's freaking, right? Because his weekend's destroyed. And I'm thinking, now what do you say? Right. And so that was kind of an interesting side note, but yeah, so we were next to the track for those launches. Brittany Force the next day, Tony Stewart, spent some time in Tony's pits, which was really nice. Everybody was wonderful and friendly at the event. I did notice that, you really got to, wanted to bring this up. You really got to prepare for this racing stuff. And you got to start like 3 days ahead of when you're going to go. Most people forget. First of all, it's noisy and it's going to be loud. There's gonna be stuff on fire. Hopefully it's the fuel, but there's gonna be tires burning and stuff like that. You got to get used to the smell. But mostly what people don't get used to is the sun and the heat that comes with it when they're on that track. You need to start drinking like 3 days before you get to this race.
Yeah, gotta hydrate.
Yeah, you just have to, because I see so many people go, oh, it's my first time, but I got a headache and blah, blah, blah. You didn't get hydrated. You didn't get ready for this, but yeah, so it was a very fun experience for me and my wife to go to that event. And we, year before, it was the same thing for Bonneville. We went to the week of speed and, I got to sit in a land speed car like moments before it went and set a record at 238.3 miles an hour. And I'm sitting in this car and the guy's like, don't touch anything. And I'm like, believe me, I won't.
Yeah. It's great. Well, you picked a greght event. Sonoma's awesome out there in wine country, and that's a well prepared.
They let us come. Yeah, they let us come. And what we try to do is make a deal with them. We promote their events. A lot of people, it's very hard for them to promote their event. And if it's a nonprofit, which I'm sure many are nonprofits, they don't get their PSAs till the week before. Everybody's figured out what they're doing the week before, dude.
Yeah.
If you're going to let us come to your event in August, we'll promote it now.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Don't care.
Well, it'd be a good kind of gig to get. They set up with them and and just do that for their upcoming events because I mean it's people
and there's so much going on at these events. So the one thing you when you go to a NASCAR event, you kind of hang around, the race begins, it ends, you go home. You go to a drag racing event or a land speed event, it's a different attitude because you get to go into go to the pits.
Right.
And you may not get to go talk to the drivers, the mechanics and stuff like that. Most of them are pretty friendly. If they have time, they'll talk to you. But you get to see what they're doing kind of up close and personal. But there's time
Hmm.
because you're waiting for your driver to go, and there's motorcycles and there's cars going and there's junior dragsters going, and out here the California Highway Patrol is racing kids
Yeah,
to keep
Tony Foti.
the highway. Right. There's so much going on that you don't see when you go to these smaller tracks. So I always encourage people, when they're having a sprint car race on Saturday and you're thinking about, nothing, go to the race,
Hmm.
go to the pits. That's it. The guy building buildings down the street, he owns the car at the race. I
Yeah,
mean, it's the same guys.
yeah.
And you can learn a lot that way through there. And there's STEM technology. These guys aren't grease monkeys that, we've been told about all of our lives growing up. They're engineers. They
Hmm.
understand fluid dynamics. They know more about weights, force, and downforce than most NASA engineers. They may not know the theories and the formulas, but they know what happens to their car when it sits in a turn. I had another guy, he was into weather tracking because he raced along the coast. And
Hmm.
so he would check the tides to see when the soil of the racetracks would be moist and plan for that. And he
Hmm.
was a winner because
Well, I have to tell you, especially the big money bracket racers, drag racers understand the weather. They
Mhm.
understand barometric pressure. They understand, air density. I mean, you name it. And then, of course, there's a number of handhelds that they use to apply those techniques. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah, and that's what totally amazed me about going to Bonneville last year. So we started out with almost zero knowledge. We'd been to a couple sprint car races. And then, so we go up to the sprint car track and we meet the announcer at the track. And I told him flat out, I said, look, man, I want to go to Bonneville this year and I want you to get me there. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to help introduce me to the racing community. And he kind of looked at me for a second and goes, okay, dude, you got it. And so he took me to a few drivers and I was on my own after that. And so we went back to the track and interviewed a few more drivers and a few more drivers. And then we just started calling people. And I called Bonneville office and I said, look, I want to come up. I want to film you. I would like media coverage capability. And then I put a post out on one of the Bonneville groups, and Jay Black and Heather Black and Joanne Carlson and a gentleman that used to race on the European circuit and race NASCAR, Aaron Brown for the Garage Shop, North Carolina, is still there. He called me up and he said, why don't you come broadcast live from my pits?
Cool.
And so we started out at this little dirt track in May, couple of cruise nights, couple of car shows, couple of events, and by October we were being treated like kings in the hottest place in the universe, Bonneville Salt Flats, Utah. It's 110 degrees, but we
Yeah.
were like broadcasting. How cool was that? And so, we were coming back from that. She goes, "What are we going to do next year?" I don't know. I don't know. And then somebody said, hey, I know this guy over here drag racing it. And there we were. So we went back to El Mirage, a little more land speed racing, some more sprint car racing at Placerville because we love Cammy and Scott Arnold. And our sponsors, that help us get there, Harris Gas, so on. So we said, this is wonderful. So then we managed to be there in July for the picture you see behind me and the videos that you see on our website and our story accelerator, which will introduce you to these concepts of racing and a few more because we've been talking to drivers, why they race, how they race, who they race with for. We've been talking about their generational understanding. We've been talking about how they feel in the car. They also say the same thing. They'd rather be in the car than doing anything else in the world.
Right.
It's like Steve McQueen said, racing is life. Everything else is waiting to a racer.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
It is.
And
But there's so much going on.
all the vast majority of the folks listening in tonight are racers or are very closely aligned. So everybody, I'm sure we're getting some virtual nods out there. John, anybody else with another thought from the gang?
You made a comment, BP, just a little while ago, and everybody agreed with it about drag racers, and this was something that Bob was talking about too. Bob, I wanted to let you know I love your cat theme on your program. We're cat people here, and I love those cats, man. They're beautiful animals.
Yeah, we really dig our cats, and we've repurposed them from the beginning to handle a problem because we knew we would absorb some AI at some point, and we knew would absorb people that didn't want to be seen.
Mhm.
And so what we did is we developed that large tabby that you have kind of orange. He's really a little bit more gray than that, but we've nicknamed him Razor. We've made him AI. And when people want to talk about their adventures behind cars or motorcycles or parasailing or whatever it is, but they don't want to be seen, we do a video of Razor and then we put their voice behind it. And so we actually make good use of him. And then the little black cat we call Outsider, and he's for our adventurers, the people that do the backpacking and the stargazing, and talk about the feelings that they get from their spiritual connections out in the woods. And that's where our little black Bombay comes in. But they are they're a handful. Our Bombay is about 7.5, 8 pounds. Our tabby's 22.5.
Oh, wow.
He's huge. And I give him all the space he wants.
I reckon, yeah. It's, yeah.
And we
Outside of
like
a
it.
Maine Coon, that's probably
Yeah.
the big a cat, as big a cat as you can find.
And they're a great little mascot to have fun with, and they kind of set us off from the other radio bobs on the planet because there's about 75 of us. So we really like it. And it's he's they're part of our world, you know. They're just our.
Awesome. Well, Bob, we were talking about the show a little bit, but and you mentioned, some of the categories right there, but what genres, shows, or topics typically fill your lineup? I mean, it's so wide that you can't go through them all, but what's the
Oh no, it's actually started out incredibly wide. And then what we did is try to narrow it down to a process. So every day, Monday through Friday, we run basically rock and roll music with some cruising tunes and a couple of mixed shows that align with rock and roll for the most part till about 4 o'clock. And then after 4 o'clock, anything's quite possible, but usually it's relatively calm until the 7 o'clock hour for our Pacific Daylight Time when our shows normally begin. Some start at 6, some start at 7, some start at 8, but pretty much right about 7 o'clock. So that's Monday through Thursday. Friday night and Saturday night are wide open. And so we run that schedule. After the shows, we run a jazz, blues, and softer rock format, Sunday, Monday through Thursday. Saturday, Friday and Saturday, loud, obnoxious, pumped up, violent. The ladies are singing, so that kind of stuff's going on. Saturdays, mostly geared toward the cruising tunes, stuff like that. Rock and roll during the day, Saturday nights, pumped up. Sundays, geared toward jazz, blues. Midnight till 6 a.m., jazz, blues, soft rock. Europe loves us.
hmm
So we get tons of listeners in Europe all night long, including people in Iran, Russia, Bangladesh. They're all over the place, and the United States, obviously. And so we kind of cater to those groups. We have playlists that randomize within playlists, so nothing sounds the same. And then we have specialized programming that we run breaking up the formats. So we're very lucky. We have a jazz show, a Grateful Dead show, a rhythm and blues show, a couple of 80s, 90s theme shows, your show, the NASA show, Radiance, which is a life help show. And then we have our own internal sages that take their shot against Aristotle and Socrates on their program on Wednesday night. We also have playlist shows, Moondoggies Mix. We're looking for a sponsor for that. It's basically geared towards surf music, cruising tunes, cruising classics. We're always looking for a sponsor for that. And Route 66, which is a playlist that anybody can sponsor for events and talk about what it is that they're doing. And our last two shows are Celluloid Heroes, which are movie music, movie themes, movie songs that you may have remembered from the 80s, fun stuff,
hmm
like Out of the Breakfast Club or something. And then we have what we call the Sirens of Rock, which are all ladies belting out the tunes. And the only thing you have to do is be reasonably female. Those singers go from all the way back to Betty Hutton and Julie London, who are just
Wow.
incredible talents,
Right.
to Gwen Stefani, Elle King, and Jen Wigmore. We play new, brand new, and used music.
That's
And so those
awesome.
are our genres. Mixed into all that, we put in wisdom, philosophy, sports clips, reports on fuel injected Zen, promos for you folks and others, stories that Kay gives us, Nitro Alley gives us, We get those from other people as well, and we're expanding our world of wildcats to hopefully next year into the off-road industry. Trying to get people from King of the Hammers and Baja on the line now
Hmm.
for next year to broadcast and give us stories from those events. So, because we can live broadcast. Somebody's got an event. You talked about your racing people right there, right? How many of them are at the short tracks? Hey,
Hmm.
we'll take 5 minutes. Tell me about your short track. Tell the world what you're doing. We'll do it for you. We
Hmm.
just won't do it every day.
Right. That's really cool. Yeah, I know there's a really great car show coming up in Lebanon, Pennsylvania in January. And the guy's awesome, Andy. But you mentioned earlier, I think before we came on the air, you mentioned that you can actually put together music for events, right? That where folks can kind of customize a playlist to some extent. Tell us how that works.
Well, I'll tell you. So we went and did an event earlier this year called Autorama, which is a very large car
Hmm.
show. It'll have celebrities there. It's like the Grand National Roadster Show. We went to
Yep.
that too. And we were at Autorama and we were in what they call the Butchie Gardner Hall, which is where the local car clubs all put their 16 best automobiles and they judge each other and hand each other trophies and stuff. So everybody else was out in the real world with all the George Barris cars, and we were kind of in the corner thing. But the clubs are where it's happening because the clubs are the local people that will keep this alive in the long run. And so I was talking to the clubs and they were talking about they would get DJs and they would get bands. The bands would be okay, too loud, not really genre approved. And the DJs would be trying really hard, but they'd be too loud and kind of scratchy. And the music was always the same, always the same. And then so I was like, okay. So we went to provide the music for them using our station. And so I said, well, I'm going to use a special playlist for this event. And so I made this special 6 hour playlist to use every day that would be different. And that would combine some surf music, cruising tunes, rock and roll, but nothing that would offend the heck out of somebody who was 80 or somebody who
Hmm.
was 16. And so that took a heck of a lot of work. And I got done with this thing. I was about to push delete. And I said, what the hell am I doing? Because these car clubs had come to me and told me how hard it was to find the DJ and stuff like that. So I went back and I said, look, here's the deal. I'm going to start this playlist at 10 a.m. and I'm going to turn it off at 4 p.m. and I'm going to keep it clean. And everybody that has an event going on can just dial right into me and they can just listen to it. And then what I'll do is I'll make it sponsorable. So it's called the Route 66. So for
Hmm.
$66, you can promote your whatever, your nonprofit, your business. I don't care because you're sponsoring this playlist. So
Hmm.
I'll give you 10 spots, I'll do them or we'll work something out a couple seconds each at a time. Sponsor as many shows as you want. And then what I also put out there on the page on my website, and go there and see it is if you're on the East Coast, I don't care if I started at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Hmm.
You could be in France. And if you want this playlist, and they listen to me over there, I'll start the darn thing at 1 o'clock in the morning if you'll pay the $66.
Hmm.
That's cool. I want to work with you. Heck, I may just do it for free for the heck of it because you have a big enough deal. But all too often like we talked about earlier, we run into walls. We don't believe in walls here. We bounce off of
Hmm.
those.
Oh yeah. We no obstacles. I don't.
There's no obstacles.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I might Andy Goodman's the gentleman's name. I'm put you guys together. I don't know if he's had, can't
Sure.
quite remember if I guess he did have a GJ there last year, but I don't know. But
Yeah,
it's
and a lot of people get we don't want to cut into anybody's rice bowls, the saying goes. You know, all we want to do is give people an option when their budgets are getting kind of down or things are getting a
Mhm.
little bit thin, they wonder what to do.
Well, I'll sponsor your Route 66, man. That's we can afford that. That
Oh,
sounds great. We'll have to
oh
set
yeah,
something
we'd
up.
love it. We'd love it. And if there's enough interest, we'll run it year round. I mean, we're starting to connect with the Australian universe. I don't know if you follow drag racing
We
from
we
down under.
do. We love
Yeah.
Australia. They love us. I've been
I mean,
down
that's
there.
what they're doing right now, right? They're getting it on. And we'd love to pay attention to it. I just can't fly down there.
Yeah. Someone kindly sent me a plane ticket the last time I went and covered hotel and rental car too, which, was kind of unwise, but I mean, it was fun. But no, yeah, I mean, we got lots more to talk about there and getting things together. Well,
But the
tell
one
me,
Yeah.
Bob, about the tech side of running your internet station. What's harder than it looks, and what's gotten easier over time, if anything?
Building up a marketing profile that we could adjust has gotten easier over time. That's the only aspect. We learned early on that we couldn't afford people, so we use PowerPoint to build our what we call ad panels, like the one you see behind me, and we've kind of
Hmm.
learned to do that pretty fast. And we're beginning to understand AI characterization and stuff like that. But it's been an incredible journey. You have to pick a song, load a song, tag a song, assign a song, and then pay royalties for the song. And then you want to make it so it doesn't show up in an inappropriate moment or become playing so many times it becomes offensive.
Hmm.
And so I had to learn how to do all that. The first amount of songs that we put up was like 1,600 tracks. I think yesterday we were at 4,300 in the rotation and 10,000 in the song bank. So we're
Wow.
constantly putting up music, and we have to identify it and do work on it. So it's about 3 minutes a song. So that took 3,000 minutes when we started. And then we started only broadcasting 12 hours a day and went to 24 hours a day when we came back from Bonneville. So we had to learn how to schedule. And a lot of people will schedule like your show on your station, and then they let their station kind of do whatever with the material from there. We don't do that. So we adjust our schedule, which means we have to pay attention to what's being broadcasted every hour. Right now, we have some server problems, so not all our shows are getting up as well as they should, but all of our hourly programs, 2 hour programs are working perfectly. And we really thank radio.co for working with us, excuse me, to make that happen. So it's been a rough ride to learn how these programs work and then take them to the next set, social media and marketing. How do you market a radio station when you have no money?
Right. I've been trying
So,
to worry about saying it's asked the same thing
right.
about podcasts, for 10 years.
Exactly. And so we engaged the Facebook community, and we just started. I knew I was going to get into racing and surfing and backpacking. And so I would friend. And then when I first started out, I needed shows. I didn't have anything. And so I was emailing people willy-nilly, basically saying, hey, you got a show, is anybody listening to it, blah blah blah. And people like you, people like David Gantz and Ken Laster from the University of Hartford said, take my show. And so now I have this jazz show. It's well revered. I have a podcast from NASA because somebody answered an email. I have your show because you answered the email. And we play those, and people get some exposure out of it. And so that's gotten us from our 1-2 listener a day to 500 a couple of days last week, and 200 yesterday, and 179 today. And a couple of years from now, it could easily be thousands. We can accept up to 30,000 listeners a day, and
Wow,
I can
that's
foresee it.
fantastic. Well,
I can
we
absolutely
we
see
have
it.
300,000 followers on our Facebook channel, but not all of
Hi,
them are,
everybody.
yeah. So, I mean,
And
they're
it's
not all they're not active. They're certainly not all listening into all the podcasts we do, but and some of them are probably living in tents with a cell phone, but it doesn't matter, if they're looking at the pretty pictures of the cars and John's gorgeous posters and stuff,
Oh
that
yeah,
works for
no,
me.
that was excellent work on that panel he put together. All of this works for a couple of reasons. Number one, my wife supports it. She's over there listening in the corner right now. And she
Howdy.
handles the accounting side, and she handles some other sides, and I lean on her heavily to make sure that my market, yeah, she's shaking her head up and down. She's got a gun at my head. I lean on her incredibly heavily, but it wouldn't work without the Kays and the Art Wongs and the Ashley and Chris Hall racers and the Jeff Stillwell land speed racers, my guys from the garage shop. It wouldn't work without any of it, because all of it coming together as a community is what gets other people interested to listen long enough, hopefully, to be part of our positive effort and services that we provide. And at the end of the day, it's not about fuel injected Zen as much the cars as it is to acquire the balance that you need in your life, in your daily life.
Hmm.
We've had some tough years on this planet the last 6 years. And I always believe that we want to get the face out of the phone, get them listening, but get them walking, get them talking, get them used to meeting people like you on the street and at the stores, and
Hmm.
having legitimate conversation so we can actually solve some problems instead of making some problems. You
Amen.
know,
Yeah, go play outside, guys and
go play
gals.
outside. Absolutely. Get dirty. Get dirty. That's what water's for. Clean you right up. Start again.
I love it. That's so kind of as you're building forward, kind of what's next? More shows, video, live remotes, new genres. I think I've heard all
Um,
yes to most of those tonight.
Yeah, live. There'll be some live events we're hoping for this year. We're looking for our quote unquote race of the year kind of thing. Will we go back to drag racing? We'd like to. We've been invited back up to the Week of Speed. We'd like to try to make that happen. There's a Grand Prix race in Vegas at the end of next year. I think that's really our target event. We'd
Hmm.
like to go to the Grand Prix. Uh, we've we have an affection for that style, so we'd like to check it out. We like to do things that are different.
Hmm.
Hopefully, we're going to meet somebody in the off-road industry here in California that's going to understand what we're trying to do and see that there's a possibility to collaborate together. We'd love to work with somebody like Rugged Radios, for example. They've been pretty nice to us, Batteries Plus.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's some future in live events. There's some futures in going to events. There's definitely a future in getting more musicians and trying to get more backpackers. And there's some pretty interesting things coming up in the surf world. And I don't know how much your racing people would like to know about that, but we've been working with couple of surf clothing providers and some surf safety experts and professional surfers. And it seems that we're going to get them together to help create a safer water program that we can offer to people for free. So we're
Nice.
really looking forward to that to go with Mario's application for safety. And at the end of the whole thing, there's a clean water technology that we're going to be able to put out fairly soon. That we're going to be looking for people to donate to rural communities to solve some of the world's water problems. So it's, I know that sounds really odd for a racing guy, but I have about 15 years in environmental experience and found somebody who wants to put this together as a nonprofit. And so I said, yeah, I'll do what I can.
I
Reviewed
believe
it.
in
Like,
I believe in environmentalism as well. We can have our hobby here and it doesn't it's a pinprick on the overall impact.
it
We're
really
burning a little
is.
nitro and burning a little rubber, but
The tracks close because people move up against them and they're like, hey, that's noisy. And I go, well, yeah, it's a racetrack. People want to race as much as people want to surf. We can do both.
yeah,
We can do both sustainably, you
yeah.
know. So
That's it. Sustainable drag racing. It sounds
why not?
let's
Why
do it.
not?
Well, let's check with John one more time. Anybody out there,
Sure.
John, before we have to say farewell here pretty soon, which I can't believe the 45 minutes went so fast.
Well, this is an absolutely fascinating interview, and everybody's listening to you. Nobody's making any comments right now, but
Good.
everybody loves what you're saying. And
Sounds.
I
Yeah, you got
wanted to,
one.
I
Go
had,
ahead,
I
John.
had a couple of questions for you, Bob,
Sure.
before you take off. With your worldwide enterprise and everything that you're doing, do you have a favorite feature to your show, or are all features created equal?
Well, I'll tell you what. There are times on Friday night where I'm listening to the Sirens of Rock going off around 8:30, and I'm usually blowing up other people online somewhere because it's my downtime. I just love it. Of the quality of the quadraphonic age of music from Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac.
Mhm.
I am so impressed by Elle King and her vocal range and ability and her crossover into the country music world and
Mm.
rock and roll. I mean, the ladies they just belt this stuff out. And when I hear the show come on, I want to push the pedal down even harder and go even faster. And my wife and I will just sit here just laughing at it. It's an aspect I totally love. The other part I totally love are the people I meet while I'm racing. And I'm not just talking about the drivers. Everybody's enamored with the drivers. No, it's the Tony Thackers and the Japanese guy that didn't speak any English I met at the land speed races who's wearing my t-shirt somewhere in Kyoto, Japan. I mean, it's these people. It's the Jeff Stowells that let me get into his car and help me explain the motor a little bit so I could understand it. It's the Mark Pasquales who explained to me why the engine's on the outside of the car at a super modified race. I don't understand it. It looks wrong. The drivers even say it looks wrong when they're in the car driving around the track,
Mm.
but that's where it is. I love them. They're a great community, and I can't thank them, you, and the people that support us, because at the end of the day, I go back to this whole thing. It's about our nonprofit. It's about getting people to communicate again. It's about giving them options and giving them some hope.
Mhm.
And if this episode or one thing that we do or one song that we do saves one starfish, it's worth it.
Amen. Got it. Thanks. And John, good stuff. Anything else? You said a couple questions?
Yeah, well, the big news today is that the Proc rocket left John Force Racing and they're headed to Tasca. I was wondering if you had a take on that or if you've heard of it yet.
No, no, I did not. The only thing I saw that was force related was something about I thought Ashley was considering this as her last year or something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Brittany,
Oh,
Britt
Brittany,
Ashley's
sorry.
out, but yeah,
Misspoke.
Brittany just did retire. Yep, as did John. But we'll
Sorry.
chat about that here in a minute with our drag racing insiders.
Oh,
I
okay.
had a couple more very quick questions. One was,
Sure,
where can folks follow along online? So obviously radiobobusa.com right behind you.
sure.
Is there a Facebook presence or other social media you'd like
Absolutely.
them to?
Well, 100%. So we have a Facebook page. It has the Radio Bob logo on the other side. There is a little white one or blue one. Got the little cat on it, so you know you're in the right place. It's over here on my shoulder. We have my wife has her Facebook page, Yasmin West. I have mine, Robert West. That is the programming contact page for the radio station. Anybody can get a hold of me there,
Okay.
DM me there. I actually check it, you know. We have a YouTube channel uh, known as Radio Bob USA.
Mhm.
It has YouTube videos that have to deal with racing, air shows, events that we've covered over the past 5 years. But it also has educational information for people that are interested in starting an online presence. It will show you the trials and tribulations of everything that we've gone through, what programs we used, why we used them, what the problems were, blah, blah, blah. And then we have a few videos on setting up a booth and being an outside presence and things to watch out for because we had to do that. So I would just film it anyway. And so we have educational materials there, but mostly we got some really cool racing videos that are taken from, as I mentioned earlier, 8 feet away from the cars. In the cases of the drag racing, they're live from El Mirage, watching those cars. They're on dirt tracks and asphalt tracks, and who knows what's next. Whatever you allow me to come to, you're going to get video. And here's the beautiful thing for anybody that would let me come. You can have that video for free. We offer all of what we take to anybody that was a participant or part of that process at that event for free. Driver, crew member, owner. You let us in there for free. It's the least we can do is offer you that.
Sounds awesome. Sounds like fuel injected Zen, brother. John, final thought?
Yeah, while you were just talking, Rich Panacaro said he is a very smart guy.
Very smart indeed. Well, Robert West and Yasmin back in the corner. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been amazing. I know we got to get you off here so you get to your next meeting. But man, it's been a blast. I'm gonna send you some recommendations on your Facebook page of some female rockers that I especially like. I'm sure you probably heard of them already, but
Okay.
anyway, awesome, awesome, ladies and gentlemen. Bob West, RadioBobUSA.com. Check it out. Check out the YouTube channel, and we'll put a couple liner notes here into the chat so we can follow along. Have a great
Okay.
night, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And thank you, Kay. And get the app on Android and help support the station.
Amen. Radio Bob, everybody. Adios, sir. We'll say farewell to Bob and with thanks and turn it over to JB for this week's JB's Take and the Racer of the Week. John?
Thanks, BP. My pick for races of the week are the Nitro Monkey A Fuel Dragster team from Choctaw, Oklahoma. The Nitro Monkey is a family owned injected nitromethane front engine nostalgia dragster. The co owner and team chief, Rick Taylor, is retired from the U.S. Air Force and fulfilling a lifelong dream of being a team owner. Rick's wife and co-owner, Jennifer, is head of media relations and hospitality for the team. The team is crewed by car chief Tyrone Richard, crew chief, I could have said Richard, but here in Houston, it's usually Richard, crew chief Scott LaFleur, assistant car chief Frank Johnston, and assistant crew chief Jay Weller. The Nitro Monkey is driven by Paul Nobody Schultz. Team Nitro Monkey is committed to sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ through its racing endeavors. The dragster has a Neal and Parks chassis, a 377 cubic inch small block Chevy featuring a Bill Mitchell Products aluminum block running on 100% nitro. The team is currently trying to get a new clutch sorted out. Rick drove it from when they started running in 2010 until he fired himself in 2019, and Paul has been driving it ever since. Their best numbers are a 465 ET at 164 miles an hour in the eighth. In 2015, the Nitro Monkey finished number 6 in the SHRA series. In 2016, they finished number 5. In 2022, they finished number 7 in the A-Fuel NHRA Heritage series. In 2023, they finished number 9. In 2024, the team finished number 13 in the Nitro Chaos series, and in 2025, they finished as number 10. Rick told me back when he was driving, when he would sign a hero card for kids, he would always sign it with the phrase, Jesus loves you. And about a week after a race, a mother contacted Rick and told him that her son made a decision for Christ because of how he signed that hero card. Her son said, since Rick was willing to share his faith, that made him realize he needed to make the decision to accept Jesus. No matter how much success they have with this race car, that is what is important. And that story reminds me of Big Daddy's message on the cowl of his top fueler, but yours is direct and completely legible. We get it. Rick and team, thanks for accepting my offer to be Racers of the Week. The Nitro Monkey is an awesome dragster, and your mission is wonderful. We wish you good luck, safe racing, and the best of times in the future. Everybody stay safe and have a happy Thanksgiving. We have so much to be thankful for. You are the most important part of this show, and we love you all. It's a great way to spend an hour together on a Monday night. And we'll see you all next time. God bless America. Back to you, BP.
Thank you, John. Great stuff, my friend. And yeah, sounds like a pretty hot running nostalgia dragster. Great
Yeah,
job
man.
with a great message. Well, thanks to Miss K. Let's talk about some cool upcoming. I guess let's spend a minute on the crazy the Proc team leaving John Force. I mean, the rumors are very strong that Tasca is going to sub another car, although Tasca said I'm not going to make any official announcements. But I guess he just let some folks go today. So it's the silly season, and here we go. I mean, what are your thoughts, John? Do you have any? Do you have a take on the? It seemed to me I thought Proc was going to be the future of John Force Racing. It's the way it all looked, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
just never know where this stuff's coming from, do you?
You talking to me?
Yeah,
You talking to me? Okay, well,
talking to you, Rob.
I was
Rob.
shocked when I first read about it, on Competition Plus,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't figure out a reason why they would want to do this, except it could have something to do with money. I don't think there was any conflict involved with John Force Racing between these guys because they all seem to be the best of friends.
Mm.
And I wish them the best and everything. Um, I'm sure they're going to do fine wherever they go. They could be an independent team and still win the championship, I believe. But if they had the funding to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where it comes from, is the money to back them up. Jimmy Prock is an absolute genius, as a tuner and as a crew chief. and a car chief and everything. And Austin is an excellent driver. So, I'm sure, and Jack Beckman is still going to be with John Force Racing in his car, and he's a contender. So
Hmm.
I believe it's all going to work out for the best. I don't know, man. They were my favorite team, and I want them to still be my favorite team. We'll just see how it all shakes out.
Well, it opens up a slot for somebody else, and who knows? I guess that's going to be the next thing. Who's going to get that John Force second funny car slot?
That's right.
Pretty cool. Good stuff. Well, silly season's in full force, and lots more to come, no doubt. Let's go on and talk about, excuse me, some upcoming guests real quick. Thanks to Miss Kay and her outstanding work out there, and Pete Moriello jumping in as well. But next Monday night, December 1st, Lenny Lottig, the 2025 Factory X champion, who was also setting up a holiday themed, I guess it's January. He's setting up a thing to do at his house up there in Pennsylvania, so we'll hear all about that. December 8th, Jason Harris, the four-time PDRA champion. December 15th, Justin Schreifer. I don't know if it's Schreifer or Schreifer. I'll certainly ask him before the show comes on. Funny Car Racer. No show on December 22nd. And December 29th, Teddy J. Say, the Say It Loud Motorsports Fuel Funny Car owner. And into January the 5th, Richard Gadsden, the brand new Pro Stock World Champion, uh, Pro Stock Bike World Champion on the 12th. Scott Woody Woodruff of the iTrade telling us all about that cool new series and their expansion. Mason Magaha is coming up on January 19th, the NHRA Pro Stock Racer. A fabulous, Kay is keeping me on pins and needles about January 26th. She has a person there, but she's not sharing who it is. But she says it's someone she's been trying to get forever and ever and finally landed. February 2nd, Luke Bogacki, the iTrade dual champ, one of the great sportsman racers. February 9th, Vito Macchiolo, the National Pro Mod Association. February 16th is open still. And February 23rd, Animal Jim Foyer, the man himself, is going to be joining us. And Kay was knocking on me today saying, dude, what's up with March and April? I'm trying to get some names. So she's, I guess we'll give her 3, 4 months out. I need to take a look at my calendar and make sure that March and April are still open. We likely will. Well, we'll see what happens. We may take off Easter Monday, but we'll see what happens and get those dates starting to be filled out as well. So thanks so much to Kay for all her hard work out there and for Pete and everybody else who hooks us up. Let's go on to those we lost, folks. Got some names to mention tonight. Just a few, two or three. Darren Davis, the California kid, passed away on the 19th of November. Darren drove just about every type of competition eliminator car, and he won with them too. The 86 comp champion up in Montreal. He won in 95 in Seattle, 96 at Sonoma, repeated in 97 in comp eliminator championship at Sonoma for NHRA. 9 divisional wins, 47 NHRA national records. Darren Davis, the California kid, just a great, great racer. And farewell to you, sir. Also, on the 22nd, we lost Roger White. Roger drove the White, excuse me, involved in the White and Bork C super modified Chevy 2. Very cool car. Love those super mod cars back in the day when we tried to make racing relatively inexpensive. That never sorts of work does it. Sort of works does it. But Roger White, farewell, sir. Also, getting this off of Facebook, the RIP Racer page, which is also always so great. Carol Kokinos passed away. Now, Carol was um, the wife of Joe Greek Kokinos, and he was a sportsman racer in the race in the stock eliminator category. But Joe Scardelli, the first man in the nines in a stock car, he put up a really nice post. Carol's a nice and most thoughtful person, always friendly and generous, a true racer's wife, unrelenting support throughout the years. So farewell to Carol Kokonos, the wife, and of course our condolences to Joe Greek Kokonos. And then finally, down Texas way, down your town, John, the great Jimmy Araby Sr. passed away on the 23rd. Legendary Texas transmission builder and racer on the drag racing lists with his top dragster a couple of years ago, supercharged car, and a lot of love from the Texas racing community, sharing their thoughts about Jimmy Araby Sr. As he passed away just yesterday, either yesterday or the day before. So our condolences to the family and friends of these great racers. Thanks for the thrills over the years, guys, and rest in peace. John, with that, close to our wrap here, what do you have to say about the show?
It was a fascinating interview with Radio Bob. He is an amazing guy, and he's worldwide, like you said, man. He's all over the place, and everything he does is first class. And I really enjoyed his interview, and so did everybody on the chat board.
Mhm.
He was just totally informative, and he's up to date on everything. He's just a great guy, and I'm glad we had him on here. And I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'll know what it is when I see the turkey on the plate in front of me. So I'm just going with the flow here.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate you, brother. And let's go ahead and do a wrap. We do want to thank Radio Bob West, who was awesome. I want to thank Kate Turkelson, as always, but she tried to get Bob and me together for a long, long time, and we came to a great agreement. And I really appreciate his sharing Draglist and Draglist Live on his radio station. Now we're racing and rocking on Draglist Live. We're going to start moving the rocking back into it. But so good to talk to Radio Bob. And in fact, before we came on, guys, we were chatting a little bit with John. So we're going to get some of John's great music sent his way, and some of John's son's great music sent his way. And I'm going to make some recommendations because I mean, Ellen Jewell's amazing. I don't know if anyone else has ever heard her, but I got to share that. And of course, Lucinda Williams, big fan. Anyway, thanks to Radio Bob West. He was awesome. John Bachman, my brother, as always. Kay Turkelson, Pete Mariello, Rob McCabe, who's out there doing yeoman work. David Oakes, who's amazing. Melba Short. By the way, David Oakes not only putting up those great photo reviews, he was going to every single racer that we don't have this year on the drag racing list. If he has shot those cars, he's coordinating with Rob McCabe to get photos for every drag list entry. Those guys are just rocking and rolling on the back end. Ron Toombs, lots of great updates. John Mernon the second, tons of great updates, adding photos to our entries. Excuse me, a little bit of almost a cough. And Jeff Gilder, who got us started back in 2010, Racers Reunion Radio and Wingding Media. Excuse me, I'll just go ahead and do a cough and be done with it. And of course, thanks in heaven to the big guy, Danny White, who worked with us for so many years. Click the like and click the share down below. Click the little drag list logo down there to subscribe to the channel. By the way, guys, I mean, we had thousands on Facebook, but we're climbing on YouTube. We just eclipsed 500 followers on the channel. I would love to double that. Well, it'll take a while, but let's keep it rocking. Thanks so much to everybody for joining us. And you can check in on draglist.com every day to see what's new. We do put up world drag racing news every single day. Plus, with Rob McCabe working, babes, we got brand new drag list entries every day. So keep your eye on the databases as well. Of course, we do send out a tweet for every new drag list entry. If you are watching drag list on the Twitter channel or X, I guess now, or on Draglist X on X. Believe it or not, I named it Draglist X way before X became the name of the Twitter channel. It was Draglist Extreme for every single edit we make to the Draglists. Also, as you heard tonight, you can find us on the Radio Bob Network Thursday nights. And thanks to Bob for showcasing our shows. So let's do a wrap, final wrap. We'll see you next December 1st, next Monday night for Lenny Lottig, the 2025 Factory X champion. And ladies and gentlemen, I got one more thing to say to you, and that is Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you have a warm and wonderful holiday with your family and friends. Friendsgiving for those who are away from home. But have an awesome, awesome week, folks. All the best, and see you next Monday night.